Alrighty, hello, and good afternoon. Yeah, it has been a day. I'm just gonna put it that way. It has been a friggin' day. But at any rate, wanted to do a little bit of a different challenge type thing today. Namely the 1 vs 18 challenge. So this is something that came up last year. Basically did a Night Commander run using this, well, for this particular thing. But the general gist of it is you go to Reason Way, you basically solo an entire map with a particular character. Now, it ended up working out with Ozma last time, simply because at that point she was way the hell stronger and all that kind of thing. Why the hell is she unequipped in this file anyway? I should note, I actually went back to my original file from last year for the sake of this. This isn't the one from that 1 vs 18 challenge, by the way. This is the one from like when I first started my first eval run of this whole thing and all that from scratch. But anyway, I didn't really have any versions of Denim that were at roughly the point of the game where I wanted to go do this thing. So anyway, like I said, the general gist of it is you're supposed to go and solo an entire map. Now, the way that this goes, it's mostly for the sake of stress testing different things. You know, just to see how well a certain build will do or whatever else. Normally this is something that I did for fun, you know, just to see how far each class could go. So last year when I did it, Night Commander was the only class that could realistically do it. And recently, there were a couple people that did this, you know, kind of over the months and all that. But there was one guy in particular that was very dead set on the fact that the Lord class was useless in one vision. So, in an effort to prove said guy wrong, we're going to go ahead and do this thing. Now, why would anyone say that? Well, as far as this class goes, it's changed a bit from its original version. Basically, he doesn't have all of his crazy OP stats or anything else. He's like stat-wise, he is exactly average on everything. So you might be thinking, okay, you know, unique class, why would anybody bother? And he still has the same thing from before, where he can equip just about anything. And by just about anything, I mean he literally can equip anything that isn't locked for some reason. Like, for example, gender-locked items he can't use, or, like, for example, if there's classes or abilities that are, like, specifically assigned to a class, like for example, he'd be able to use Mind's Eye from a ninja, but he wouldn't be able to use their Sleep Bomb ability, or I forget which Swordmaster ones he can use, but like he's able to use the Berserk's ability, but he can't use Blood Price or Last Resort, that kind of thing. So he can use everybody's secondary abilities and/or support abilities. He can equip basically every single item, and yeah, can become some really insane stuff. Now, my favorite plan going into this whole thing was basically Spear, Art of War, and then either a light or super heavy build as far as making that happen. Then he kept running into the same issue of getting petrified every time. So, for this particular map, the reason that I go for this one as opposed to some of the other ones is because you can basically run into just about every single debuff that there is. So, for example, the casters can come in with Petrify, Stun, Stop, and Slow. The fairies can come in with Bind, Shackle, Stop. Basically, you know, finishers on everybody. You get Stun, Slow, Stop. Basically, whatever you really want on there. They're just flying around left and right all over the dang place. So it's one of these things where if you're gonna solo it, you kind of need some way to act on both ends of your turn. Namely, what I mean by that is that you're able to do just as much on your active turn, on like your main actions, as it were, as well as your free turn or your active moves or whatever you want to call it. It gets a little bit confusing that they're called active skills, but whatever. So okay, so the way that this is set up here, since I said originally my plan was heavy spear, you know, high evasion and poison. The thing with that was it can last a very long time, and actually if he goes spear and shield, he can basically sit there and last it out forever. But the thing is, he didn't have enough offensive potential using a defensive spear build, but he didn't have enough defensive potential using a more offensive-orientated build. Namely, he was able to, roughly I would say, get about halfway through the fight, and eventually one of the really low percentages would hit, And you know what? It's basically, if you if you want to see what happens, go watch the Mountain vs Viper fight. If you happen to ever be curious about Game of Thrones, or if you've seen it, then it's basically exactly that. Like eventually, one hit lands, and it only takes one. So, so what I'm trying this time is actually high evasion, decent defense, speed, and a gunner build on essentially a high recovery type setup with a bunch of area control on there. So Rampadora 3, Phalanx basically to completely control the area, to basically barricade himself in. Divine for both the ability to attack at point blank, as well as AoE, as well as recovery. HP and Tabula Rasa for the sake of recovery as well. Art of War for the sake of poison, Instill, backing that up as well. Actually, Art of War for Escalade as well, to be able to just avoid terrain for a little while. So that essentially allows him to hop on any tile, completely control the map, and burst fire a weapon. So, yeah, let's let's see how this setup does. I actually tried, I want to say like 30 different builds for the sake of this thing already. There's definitely a lot of different potential ways to go about this. So, so yeah. As far as the guy saying that this class is worthless, very far from it. There's a ton of unique stuff that only he can do. In fact, he's got one of the most potentially high damage setups in the entire game against very specific things. I was actually testing around with it, and if you get a max rank, what is it, a Biblion Dracaris or whatever I think it was called, something like that, with Draconology, with what's it? Let's see, you mix it with Draconology, you mix it with... Wait, where the hell did I put Art of War? Here. There we go. Mix it with Draconology, mix it with two of those books, and then you you mix it with Dragon Slayer. And I think that's the highest potential damage in the game right now. And but yeah, he can basically double attack with books. I'll actually show that off in a little bit, because it's a little bit hilarious. But yeah, I was trying that kind of build where it was an evasive cloak, leggings. I think so far that's been the most consistent as far as lasting the longest time in this type of challenge. But yeah, let's go ahead and fire here. Take a few little pot shots, as it were. So yeah, the cursed gun attacks twice. It basically gives you an extra percentage bonus off your damage there. So it does about 170 right now. It'll end up going down as his damage goes up, or rather, as the damage on that unit goes up. But anyway, we'll say that over time. That basically, the second one is really good for getting past certain defensive builds. It kind of varies as far as its actual potential usage. I just consider it like a secondary buff on the thing. But anyway, so what the hell was I getting at here? Yeah, there we go. Those 30% hitting right off the bat. Fantastic. As far as stuff to avoid, this right here, definitely part of it. The first thing you want to do, well, with some builds you want to get encircled, some you don't. With this one, it's kind of a toss-up. Like, for example, one that did very well was a Dark-based two-hander build. And for that one, they were able to two-shot basically everything on the map. But again, it ran into the same thing of just not being able to sacrifice enough stuff to be able to get rid of all the debuffs. So Light Burst is something that I have in his skill set for these kinds of situations right here, because you'd basically be able to drop 100 on each of these guys. But either way, we're actually going to go here. Like I said, this one is more of an area control ranged build. So yeah, right there. I mean, you can do an absolute crap ton with this build. So he's the only one that can actually combine all of these particular skills at one time. Basically, Fusiliers are just plain not able to do this kind of stuff. That right there is the only reason that I have counter hit on him at all. Because the main issue with ranged builds when doing this is when you end up sacrificing counter hit and parry and all that sort of thing. Because yeah, you end up in a situation where they will just continue flanking you the entire time, and you can't really put pressure on anybody else while they're there. And usually they'll take one hit, run off, and get healed. So that's another thing. Now, with let's see, with a Fusilier build, or rather a Cursed Fusilier build, with a rifle build, with a two-hander build, most of the heavy builds he's able to do just enough damage to just continuously wail on one guy, and usually they're able to get past healing. Like, even if there's two healers, or rather, if there's two healers, then they're able to get past it. If not, then it's a different story. Like, if this map, you can potentially spawn in with three, and at that point it just becomes completely untenable. But, you know, we'll get there. Now, another reason that I have Art of War on this particular setup is this situation right here. Let's go ahead and drop an Escalade. You know, just go ahead and drop a car on him, why not? Then we just go ahead and just, whee, I can jump over walls now. So there we go. Do that. Now, nobody's going to be in range to really hit him, I wouldn't think. But, yeah, so there should only be one guy that can attack from the front. The ranged caster should be stuck using AoEs, like that Meteor Strike here. So yeah, there we go. Most of that, because of the build that he's running, should just plink off. So big ol' AoE damage just bounces off. Generally speaking, most close range stuff will be evaded. Yeah, get blocked and you're done. Pretty dang much. Well, again, actually it depends. So far, the most successful build that I've tried for this, because I've been just kind of trying on and off in free time here for a few days now, just to see what kind of build would work for this. Because dang it, I want to prove that guy wrong. Because quite frankly, this class, despite its strictly average stats across the board, is so friggin' good. Like, there's no other time you'd be able to combine all these things. But anyway, let's go ahead. Like, yeah, for example, one thing that gets overlooked a lot is the fact that these burst abilities. I'll show off one build after this, like assuming this fails. One of my favorite ones was one that I called the Lord of Darkness build. That it was literally just Dark Element, two-hander, very high evasion, and then essentially just sitting there, just blocking or parrying every single thing. Well, or almost every single thing. I think like ultimately his evasion's like 80% on everything on average. And yeah, then a bunch of units end up getting at low health. Then you drop a burst ability, Dark Burst in his case, and then you use HP Infusion to heal back up. The only issue that one had is the fact that it basically didn't function if he ever got stunned. So either way, I might be trying that again in a little bit here. First things first, let's get some regeneration going. And go ahead and do it like this. Yeah, that one definitely had to keep moving pretty quickly, though, in terms of keeping his next turn coming quickly. He didn't actually have to change his location much at all. This one does have to relocate a lot. So yeah. This guy has to be able to move up and down everywhere. I have to be able to block off this entire area with phalanxes. The bottom I can keep relatively blocked. The top, it depends. See, this is the point at which a spear build ends up excelling, because you can essentially counter hit two units at once. But again, it just runs into an issue that it's slightly not enough to keep up with some of the other classes, or some of the healing that's going on. Not to mention the kill moves. Specifically, it's the finishers, really, that caused me not to use it as much, or that made me want to switch over to other things for the purpose of this. Because, yeah, the spear finishers are probably arguably their weakest point right now. Because they're stat-wise, they're really strong. They hit 2 tiles, but their finishers, they've got one that's an AoE high damage slow, which that one's very useful, but there isn't anything that's like, okay, if I use this, it'll completely change. Like, spears are, by and large, the best. Well, if you have other units there, they're amazing. They're amazing for that. If you have a bunch of units using spears, they're really, really, really good. For solo stuff, not as much. But anyway. So this build is incredibly slow in the actual attacking part. Its damage isn't super amazing, but I think there may be potential to this, and you'll see why. Thing is, I need to get it set up first. So what I need is to block off the guy at the top. There we go. So we, this will make sense in just a minute here, by the way. So I dropped that phalanx down there to try to keep as many units in that one spot as possible. Yeah, that was almost the end of this particular attempt. The thing is, what I'm waiting for, I want to drop phalanxes all around. So I'm gonna go ahead and, yeah, I'm not gonna have enough to drop a phalanx and do this. So when having a dark build is good. Okay. What do I want to do here? think probably just go for a heal 3 and hope for the best. Because yeah, the Mighty Strikes and stuff like that from that guy on the top, I think he's using a Mighty Strike. That's the stuff that ends up getting the ranged builds, because I want to run a parry type setup on him. I probably should have, like, I would think maybe putting in parry over something like counter hit maybe? But then that doesn't let him kill off the archers early. There's a lot of considerations for this one. But yeah, I'm going to show off that two-hander build right after this though. Because I'm pretty sure I ended up doing the movements a little bit too slow here. The idea here is that you get to that corner, you block off both those top 2 entrances, you leave one area open. So for example, ideally what I want to do is block off that tree line, get rid of that lizard or shut him down in some way, and then just basically sit there spamming heals and essentially getting TP up to be able to throw out... let me show you his kill moves here. So for the finishers, here's what you got. You have this one, which is a long-range silence. It's really good as a support ability to get rid of any kind of casters whatsoever, or healers. You got this one, that's a long-range thing that basically resets countdown. You have Blunderbuss, which is basically a shotgun. And yeah, this thing is literally just like point-blank, you do a crap load of damage. It's pretty amazing. And this one is specifically the one I want, aka the Space Laser. You basically just Space Laser somebody into being bewitched for at least a turn or 2. And usually that's enough to turn stuff around, but... Anyway, so... Essentially drop a little bit of a slow here. See about getting these guys slowed down just a little bit so I can get some stuff done. There we go. Now hopefully... Well, unfortunately he hit anyway. I was hoping to say that hopefully he'll be able to get a little bit of stuff done before that guy's next turn, but whatever. It's fine. His next turn should take ages now. So yeah, my plan is eventually to figure out a way to do this with all classes. Because everything has got potential. Like, somewhere in there, there's potential for every single class to pull this off, potentially. I say, using the word potential way too many times. Yeah. The only reason that it's... Like, the whole thing with the Lord class here. If he's got other units around him, he is OP as hell. Solo is definitely when he's probably at his weakest. But anyway. Come on. Get out of here with your Hellhound. Or your dang summons. Yeah, I just need one more thing to be done here. So she's gonna get rid of Escalade here. Dispel. If you ever, if you're ever wondering why during these things I end up going and attacking stuff, seemingly for the sake of just doing a little bit of damage, it's gonna get healed back up. That is exactly the case, because if they stop healing, all those guys end up erasing your buffs. So that's always fun. But alright. Oh, they got rid of their slow and they gave me a slow instead. Awesome. If I sound a little bit on the tired side today, I have no idea. Alright. There we go. We got one attunement ready to go. Go like pew 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 pew. Oh, this changed. It's a okay. That used to be a completely different move. You know, with Judgment and things like that, it does like the pew 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 kind of thing. It used to do that, so I guess now it's just a straight up space laser. I always used to joke that it's what's it? You know the like the toy gun from New Vegas. If you've ever played that. There we go. Essentially, we can heal on even not our turn using this. So yeah, it does damage, does a little bit of healing, good stuff. And he got rid of that phalanx. What a dick. What a dick. Get rid of you. Yeah, I think a better position might be to move up there and then drop the phalanx to the bottom area. Not have to deal with that dragon anymore. Yeah, the dragons are interestingly difficult to deal with sometimes. Alright, that's fine. Let's go ahead and pew pew on you. There we go. Yeah, they got rid of all the buffs. So yeah, if you ever didn't cause damage for a little while, the healers will simply come in, throw out a spell. They got rid of Escalade, they got rid of Instill Light, they got rid of Actually, no, I didn't have speed running this time, but they would get rid of that too. It's okay. That one didn't go so hot. So, other potential build ideas. So here's the one I was talking about earlier. Which, yes, I absolutely want to use the Dragon Slayer for this. Because it's just... it would be so fitting for this, but it's 2 levels off. Basically, when it was originally mentioned, typically the idea was to try and cover the areas that folks have the hardest time on, which is typically going to be in the 20 to 30 range. I figure 30 is around the point when a lot of stuff opens up, so that's what we're doing here. Now, instead of that, we get 2-hand swords. Go ahead and pop that crap up front. Instead of Frost, we do Instill Shadow. Counter hits fine. Art of War... there's really not a whole lot of time to use it for this one. Rampart Aura, not needed for this one. So we'll go ahead and swap that out for, let's say... what do we want here? Probably Attack 2, maybe? Instead of Art of War, we want Dark. Which, by the way, Dragon Slayer plus Draconic, that's it. If you've never tried that, can Lord use Tabula Rasa? Sure can, they're right here. So it's definitely one of their more useful things. Because, yeah, they're one of the few that can actually recover, they can properly attack, they can properly cast. He can do everything well. It's just he can't do everything perfectly. So that was kind of the, when this thing was originally mentioned, as in when somebody was telling me, like, oh, it can't be done, he's just, he's too bad at everything. He's not. His stats are strictly average. That doesn't mean he can't do anything. Also, Berserk. Actually, yeah, you know what? Let's do Berserk on this one, too. Let's see. Tabula Rasa, Stone Ward, Berserk, HP Fusion. Maybe get rid of Art of War for this one. Yeah, Art of War plus Spears is probably my favorite combo that the Lord can do. Just because he can do... well, specifically, Art of War, Spears plus Berserk. Because then you can put Envenom, then you can turn on Berserk, and then they get attacked, and then they can sweep an entire area, and then, they shuffle around, and then they attack. Then he can counter hit poison 2 of them, while still doing really decent damage. So yeah, I would say Art of War is one of his stronger ones. But anyway. So I'll put Augment Darkness. It's one of the few things I actually don't have maxed out on this particular character. But anyway, so we've got Berserk, Tabula Rasa, Stone Ward, HP Infusion, Augment Dark, Attack 2, Counter Hit, Instill, and Swords 2. Okay. Now, options here are kind of interesting. So, go for Azure. You get Stun Ward, so there's no need to worry about another 2-hander user or an electric user. Reaver Ring basically eliminates fairies as a threat whatsoever. As far as other wards stuff that's available, Full Ward is available from Crest of Fire, so that's just basically straight up cheats right there. So yeah, this is the only way to become completely immune to debuffs in the entire game, but again, that's why I said 30 as the limit. So 30, level 30 limit. Anyway, as far as other options here, Augment Dark works out really well on this build. It actually ends up boosting his everything pretty significantly, especially his burst ability, but again, then he's weak to a thing. Reaver Earring ends up helping a whole lot as well. But yeah, again, keeping the Reaver Ring just for the sake of that stop ward. And yeah, let's go ahead and give this a bit of a go. See, Tabula Rasa more useful in Lord Solo instead of Cleric? Yep. Abso-friggin-lutely. See, Warrior seems to lack skills to fit skill slots. Well, I mean, they are the basic class. It's true. There are a couple classes that do feel like they maybe could use a few more little filler things every now and then. So I'm going to do a quick thing here. Pun completely intended. So I'm going to run up and try to get rid of this guy. As you can see, really high evasion. He does a counter rock there, which, interestingly enough, the two-hander actually boosts his ranged accuracy as well, just because it boosts agility as a whole. So, yeah, he ends up being a little bit more accurate with his counter stun rocks, so sometimes you can get a free stun proc out of that. But yeah, Tabula Rasa is definitely amazingly useful in this guy. So we get Instill Shadow because that thing hit, and we go ahead and probably go ahead and drop one of these. And at this point, his damage is absurd. He even without all those buffs, he can two-hit everything on this map. Now, the only issue with not having Art of War is I can't ignore terrain. So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to get rid of this archer just because they come in at very inopportune times. So everybody else does more damage and everything else, but archers are very, very consistent. Like, even the casters will usually end up going for debuffs and things like that. When it comes to these guys, they will consistently do everything to completely mess up your day. Either way, one shot. So there's that. Now, I'm gonna go do an infusion, just to top off his health a little bit. This is, like I said, this is my most successful one so far. Of all the attempts, this is the type of build that has worked the best. The Quicken from the Reaver Ring does not last a very long time. Actually, I should have come in with a parry. It just occurred to me I forgot to put that on there. See, basic classes have more skills. Lord will lack skill slots. Not necessarily. I mean, he already lacks skill slots like nobody's business. I mean, at this point, the biggest thing has been figuring out just exactly what to keep on him, because he can do just about everything. There we go. That guy's almost done now. Yeah, I really should... A little bit upset by forgetting parry. Yeah, parry is kind of a must for this one. That's why I had that extra skill slot. I know, it was weird. But no, like, basic soldiers, archers... I think basic soldiers and archers are kind of the two that they're pretty noticeably having gaps in their skill slots. But they still end up getting some stuff. They still end up getting both of their super abilities, so that's already 20% of their stuff, plus weapon proficiency, plus augments, plus that's already 40 of them, or 4 of the 10 slots. Plus, probably for a fighter, you want to have something like bash and counter hit, so that's 6 for theirs. You probably want counter hit on archers, but you probably want something like bash on crossbow users. Anyway, so, alright, cool thing here. You can do this for a pretty significant amount of damage on those guys. Actually, can I Thunder Beasts? Nah, I'm a little bit too far away for that. But, because there's a bunch of them, you can also just... Oh man, that guy's really resistant. Dang it. Right, went in here with a choker last time. But you can get upwards of like 150 on everybody using that particular thing. So we're just going to go ahead and go for a Grand Cross here. So they're going to go ahead and explode. Which I probably should have just done self-AoE on that one. Oh well. Actually, I probably could have just gone for a Berserk. In fact, I'm going to do that next time. So that tree is very good for setting up Berserks in that particular spot. You end up missing one of the areas that you can potentially target because of said tree. But basically, the tree blocks a lot of incoming shots. Dang it, 25%. It's that 25%. Like, if it could go below 25%, that would be a very, very different story. It's just one of those 25s eventually lands. That tends to ruin stuff pretty well. Sorry, I was just checking which weapon he was using. But yeah, I don't know. I really like the basic classes as they are. Like, literally the only thing I could potentially ask on those is maybe on crit, no crit. Dang it. All right, yeah, definitely need parry. Can't forget the parry. How do I forget parry? So this is why you have stop ward on there, by the way, because those guys with the bind shackle stop, it stops every one of their abilities. So usually they'll continue spamming it and wasting their turns, and also blocking off a tile for you. Yeah, 94% Rending Gale. Well, it's only 140 at least. Like, there we go. Yeah, doing almost as much as his finisher did in a counter. Though to be fair, Rending Gale is kind of a funny thing at this point, because it's a move you would literally never use on a dual wielder at this point. Like, specifically Swordmasters with Western swords. There's never a reason to use Rending Gale because double attack is pretty much exactly the same thing, and I'm pretty sure double attack actually takes less time to use. But yeah, it's literally the exact same thing. Right. Oh, crit. See, the thing is, with this particular build, he's basically sitting there and surviving until he can get a crit and get an opening. So his turns tend to come pretty fast with this setup. Like, usually he's able to act even before the heals end up coming out, because they end up healing and moving, which takes a lot of time for them to do. But the two-hander is still relatively slow, it still slows him down a little bit, and I'm losing time on healing because I don't have parry. The thing with the reason that I'm going on and on about parry here is because it stops Mighty Strike. So Mighty Strike and Terrifying Impact also completely ruin this setup, but that is a 40% chance of blocking those outright. Yeah, in Vanilla, I heard Rendingale is really good. Yeah, in Vanilla, Rendingale was basically a delete. There was, like, if that hit somebody, that it was it. They're done. Like, it was comically good. The thing was, for some reason, it gave some kind of boost to their attack score. I think it actually scaled. It scaled on attack score or something like that, or scaled up attack score or something like that. But yeah. 29%. This guy with his 29%. Ah, okay, whatever. Let's try that again. This time, not for getting parry, because then even with that 29%, there still would have been another 40% chance that he'd be able to block it. Now, okay, what do I want to get rid of here? Probably Tac 2. As weird as it sounds, getting rid of Tac 2 is probably the better idea here. Alright, let's pop parry on there. There we go. But yeah, so yeah, Rendingale was easily one of the, like, up until maybe Chapter 4, it was just, like, stupidly overpowered. Every time that there was a knight that came in with that, they were usually one to watch out for. It hurt. It hurt. Thing hit like a dang truck. But then, funnily enough, they ended up also getting completely outdone. There's no archer up here this time. Let's go for, I guess, just a plume. Yeah, there were a bunch of moves that were kind of stupidly scaling up with TP. In fact, a bunch of them were just unusually early as well. Like, probably Brimstone Hail is the best example. I like to joke that all the archers came in, they ended up buying the the pre-launch grenade launcher DLC. Just like bought it on pre-release, like, oh yeah, I bought the $200 collector's edition or whatever else. They included a grenade launcher on my crossbow. And no incap is hard in vanilla. Very, very, very true. I did know no incapacitations up until the end of the game. Didn't really feel like bothering with everything post-game. Just, it didn't feel satisfying. It was one of the least fun challenges just ever. And that's one of the ones that the game shipped with. Like, I think I tried every single one of them on there. Like, okay, no chariot, good. You know, that needs to be there. It doesn't block anyone from using it, but it's nice that it's there. And it's also pretty forgiving about what ends up triggering it. Like, I think a lot of people who've tried different versions of trying to get trophies and stuff for Fallout games ended up getting pretty pissed off at just how easy it is for those things to end up getting ruined. Like, I remember I had one that I was it, you know the Legend of the Star? It's nice! Okay, I completely forgot to turn on his buff here. I just noticed it as he was swinging. But he got a crit and took care of it anyway. Yeah, see, that's why you never use clerics in that run. When I was doing mine, it was using rune fencers for healing, and then scrolls for anything else, sport-wise. It's just they needed boon of swiftness and healing all the time. Ended up, I was trying to do it no archers, so I ended up using Amazons instead of archers. Just using shortbow Amazons. Used 3 berserks for the main front line, and then everybody else was, and pretty much everybody else was just a specialist for whatever was needed. So had Yunin in there as a dragoon, obviously. They're going for the silence. Oh, I forgot, another cool thing about this setup. They see that you have a magic skill, the AI knows that you have a magic skill, and they constantly go in and they try to silence you. And because of his really high block rate, this means that a lot of the rogue fairies will just like run up, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm totally gonna get this guy, and then you just smack them in the face and they die. So that's useful. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and go on the hill. There we go. Yeah, everybody is a healer, exactly. That's why it's funny when people tell me that clerics are super useful in that game, or in the original of this, because in my book, there's no reason to use them, period. Like, everybody can use the skills they use. The Mother's Blessing is the only ability that they have that somebody else can't do through an item. Alright, come on, do that, Berserk! Yes! I love that. I love that Berserk literally works with everything. Even spears. Berserk does work with spears, although disappointingly, yeah, it doesn't do, it doesn't do 10 tiles. That would be amazing. But yeah, so Rune Fencers were probably the easiest healers to use, though. Yeah, let's go after you. Let's go for another HP infusion. Yeah, if we're just going 1v1 against Dragon Zero, might as well just keep using HP infusion. This particular tile is okay for doing this. It's definitely not one of the better ones, but it'll do the job for now. What I'm trying to do is actually get up the stairs. That's one of the better ones. There's one over there. You see where there's a tree and a bush? I'm gonna show it in just a sec. It never gets there. Oh, come on. Let me have a turn. Yeah, even Hellhound plinks off of this pretty well. Yeah, HP infusion rate is expensive. It absolutely is. But either way, it's a good way of getting a free 200 health. Actually, I tried with TP3, or it was TP3, and it worked really well. Specifically what I was trying was, let's see, TP3, HP infusion, double attack, books, and then a high evasion, high casting build with Phalanx. And the idea was that you set up the entire area control, set up a small little funnel for them to walk through. It's actually going to show off if this fails. But anyway, so this tile right here is also really good because it essentially prevents them from attacking from a lot of different angles. Usually this unit right here will block them, so they have to be specifically standing on these types of open areas to be able to actually attack. And then I think the single best tile is right here, just because it's really hard for them to actually get an angle to use any missile abilities from. So if I can get there at some point, I will. But anyway, for the time being though, I have to keep pressure on this one. Let's go for... I'm going to risk it with a Berserk. It's definitely one of the riskier moves here, but I'm still going to try it. But yeah, in this one, they typically will spawn in from 1 to 3 healers. I've never seen them spawn in with no healers. There we go, got the dragon. Paid off. Now hopefully one of these chuckle buckets, yeah, we'll just go do that. Okay, that's a little bit more than I wanted. Lodestone, that's right. By the way, the reason that they're probably hitting is because of Lodestone. It causes problems. Actually, that's what Rakes was mentioning last time. I think that's the main reason that they're hitting me over and over. But unfortunately, there's no way to block absolutely every debuff, so just kind of got to deal with it. Come on, 5%! Ah! Whatever. So that one I still think is the one to do. And I'm going to try it again in just a minute, but I just want to show off this other build here real quick as far as what it can do. So if we go for a, say, an Edelbus, so this is your kind of cursed book, as it were. Go for an anatomy book. Over here, this is all fine. Go for a book ring. Over here. Where are you? Or a book earring, rather. Scrivener's earring, where are you? There we go. So we got all that in there. So then, we... Oh, go away, telephone. No Draconic? Yes, he can use Draconic. And he's potentially the highest damage Draconic user in the game. But either way, that I'm gonna try that. Either way, I just want to show off this real quick. Just, yeah, he's potentially one of the best Draconic users in the game. Just, yeah, there's some caveats to it, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So, let's go Shadow. Yeah, Shadow's fine. Counter hit, he can't really use with this, so we're going to go Rapid Shadow. Parry, he can. Augment's pretty useful. Berserk, he can't... What to think of it? They do count as a melee weapon, so I wonder what happens if... Huh. Alright, that's an idea. Okay, in that case, I'm going to get rid of... Do I want to get rid of parry? I'm gonna see what happens if he uses Berserk with books. Book Zerk, if you will. Let's see. So basically, Knight Commander is Wonder Woman or Supergirl, Lord is Batman. Yeah, pretty much. That works. Hang on. What was I looking for here? Not Augment. I have that. I have it still. I have Ramparts. Double attack. There we go. And that should be good to go. Let's give that a go. Kind of curious to see how Berserk functions with this. Yeah, if... honestly, ranged I wouldn't expect to function, though it would be hilarious if you could do a giant C shape, you know, just like fire off a wave from 3 tiles away. I think it's probably just gonna do the basic Berserk type area, which, if this works, would be amazing. And yeah, we'll get to why in a moment here. But either way, let's go ahead and set up a Strengthen. Why not? That he is. To be fair, Batman's always just kind of like as strong as he needs to be. Dude just always wins. Like, that's the best superpower. Like, oh, what's the superpower? He just always wins. He has no other superpower except always winning. Just ready for everything, which honestly is probably the best one that there is. Because they always come up with some bullcrap reason why he can win no matter what. This has always been my favorite. And it's funny because they always describe him as like, oh yeah, no, he's just tries super hard, and you know, despite being a frail human being or whatever else, and then you know, just kind of casually tucked into the background story of him every time. It's like, oh, you know, he's basically like the strongest and fastest person on Earth that doesn't have, you know, superpowers otherwise. Like he's completely bullcrap strong despite the fact that he's still just a person. Like at one point, I recall, I think they even like mentioned that the guy can basically lift cars. It's ridiculous. So, okay. Now then, you might be wondering, why are the books in this order? So Edelvis actually does less damage than the book on anatomy in certain circumstances. So the anatomy book will do 112 to him. He'll do 118 here. Edelvis will do 101 here, 65 here, but it also has a secondary attack that it follows up with. Let's go for the double here real quick. Goes for that, goes for that. So, okay, you know, a good amount of damage coming out there. All well and good. The Rampartor will keep a lot of units at bay, so they have to specifically attack from the front or the back. He cannot be flanked while he's using Rampartor 3. Let's see, and just uses drugs to fight with superhuman strength for muscles and bone strengthening. Yeah, as if he wasn't already bullcrap strong. Okay, I forgot and took off the Reaver Ring, and I forgot to give him his counter to this. So he's going to be stopped for a little while. But whatever, if I have to set it up again, we are going to have to set it up again, because I want to see how Berserk functions with the books. Like whether the game will just break or what. I think it's probably just going to get the normal target area. We'll see, we'll see. In fact, I can probably technically just use Chariot at this point. Though Stop will probably... yeah, there we go. Stop's already worn off. Stop isn't as bad as you may think. Like, between the 3 of them, if you get Bind Shackle Stop, if you end up getting the Stop proc at the very end, it's usually going to be enough to save you. Pretty good stuff. Alright, and yeah, he's already gotten plenty of TP without actually needing to do very much. Alright, see. Usually his ability seems bad, talking with sea creatures. He's... to be fair, okay, the whole thing with Aquaman there, though, his... he does have a ton of like cool abilities and everything. He just got the short end of the stick, as far as people. Yeah, look, it just it lets him point blank with a book. Does it do both though? Okay, no, it just does one. Whatever. Still, good to know. That's. Hang on. I want to see this. Okay, so go Berserk. Go over here, right? Actually, that won't help much. Yeah, for a comparison, by the way, Shade Burst, 118, 44, 48, 100, 125. It would completely do just as much, to be fair. This is why I have Shade Burst on there. It's like, basically the good luck healing all of this ability. Anyway, so, that build is a little bit borked. just because of the fact that I forgot that one. I forgot to put stop ward in some manner on there. But yeah, no. So the whole deal with Fish Boy over there, it's not just talking to fish though. Apparently he like actually friggin' mind controls everything in the ocean or whatever else. Like it just like it doesn't matter what, he just can control them. Plus the ocean itself, apparently. So it was I don't know. I occasionally just watch these random things on comics I've never read. Whatever, it's amusing, all right. So yeah, like apparently the guy just literally controls every friggin' thing in the ocean. And apparently at some point in one of the stories, they literally just have a thing where he just decides, he's gonna go take over the world, and he just like floods half the earth or something. It's like then you get the ones that actually got popularized. They're like, he manages to have a telekinetic connection to this friggin' fish taco or something. You know, it's kind of lame. But yeah, no, he's basically Poseidon, exactly. He's like small bipedal marketable Poseidon. Yeah, no, it's definitely not just in that one though. He has a bunch of really cool stuff in all of them. It's just the only version that wound up getting super popular is the old cartoon, the only DC thing that hasn't sucked in the last few decades, or at least the only thing on a TV rather. Is it a couple decades? I think it may just be the one decade. Anyway. I mean, I always watched that growing up as a kid, so it's pretty freaking awesome. Dang it, stop hitting your disembowels. But yeah, dude's pretty awesome. Anyway, let's go over here. Drop this. Get Berserk ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and, let's say, go over here-ish. See, which one of you Chucklebuck is going to attack first? You are way down the line. You are right here. Okay, we're going to set you up right here. So that means he's going to get a secondary attack on when it's not even his turn. Let's see his person. Probably... I have no idea. No idea how many of them are related. But to be fair, I'm pretty sure just about anything is potentially viable given how many alternate universes they have in these things. Yeah, there we go. We're going for that silence. That worked out great for you, lady. Okay, let's go for a Berserk. And I'm just going to leave that as it is, because I think he should be... Wait, is he having a turn next or no? Or is he? Okay. If he attacks, then he'll attack both these. So yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and do Drain Heart. Probably on you. There we go. He can attack and heal at the same time as well. This is another reason I really like this setup. And there we are. So yeah, Evil Denim potentially really, really good. As you can see. Like, he's got stuff. He's got a lot of stuff going on. If played smart, he can be crazy strong. Alright. Actually, it's funny how many times the seemingly joke characters in a lot of comics and stuff like that wind up being the absurdly strong ones. Like, I've seen many things, especially over the last few years with how many movies they've had coming out, where technically speaking, like, Spider-Man's probably the strongest of pretty much all their properties and whatever else. It's like, the guy can basically do whatever, just like lift whatever, punch friggin' continents if he could. It's all kinds of weird technicalities. Okay, don't have enough for Shade Burst. What's Grand Cross look like here? It's pretty darn baller, that's what it looks like. Do it. Oh, you know what? I probably should have turned on Berserk here. Oh well, that's fine. Dead. Let's see. Batman is really good. He's as good as he needs to be. It doesn't matter. He doesn't... Okay. He has the power of plot armor. That's what he has. No matter what, there is just a convenient fix for him somewhere. Although I did see somebody pointed out something interesting. That potentially, he actually might... He either might be dead or not exist. And if you ever watch Arrow... But it seems really weird that people mention him in the past tense all the time. But anyway, so yeah, he's mentioned that he totally exists, but like, oh, you know, who do you think I'm, this guy? Like, no, but why is he not here? It's a little bit suspicious. Oh crap, that's not good. I probably should have gone tablet. You know what? Let's do that exact thing, actually. Wait, I don't have that on him. It just goes 114. Oh yeah, no, his that was the best move he can do. Let's do HP Infusion. Then let's do Zayna. And it doesn't work still. Okay, whatever. Hopefully he'll be fine. Hopefully he'll be fine. This is usually what ends up getting this build. Just because there is no second area to go ahead and... There's no second slot to be able to put in stun ward, because you can only have one ward at a time. So it's like, it gets to this point, and then I have to hope that he's able to dodge a certain amount of hits before everything's over. See, I mean, when you're mentioning Denim Dark Lord, are you referring to Batman or the Dark Knight? I just mean, like, he's the Lord class and specializes in everything Dark Element. It's literally just that. Okay, let's go Tabula. And let's go getting all... Let me go Burst. Yeah, Burst would distract their healing like crazy, but... Dang it. Yeah, by the way, Deadly Poison, very, very good. So at this point you get the ability to use Envenom. Yeah, it basically does a okay amount of damage, and then it does Envenom, which will just leave them completely, just like sapping out 20 health at a time for a really long time. We can potentially drop a Charm on the healer. Yeah, that's 44. What other ones do they have? I'm saying we got one with that fairy. One rogue here. Do they really only have one healer? Okay, that's rare. See what the odds of that working are. Yeah, her turn comes up pretty late. He doesn't really have any TP to do other stuff. Yeah. What are the odds of that? Not great. Well, that was a fun run. Alright. I thought about doing Drain Heart there. It seemed like that was the better way to go. Just because Drain Heart would have done a max of like 110 and he didn't really have enough to keep him going at that point. We can't go heavier on defense, I think. Let's see. Go Falcon Mail. I think that should probably help with all the Earth stuff. No, that actually makes him... Yeah, no. We would need to go... Yeah, Rock Plate for that. Then that would ruin his agility. He kind of needs that. So the reason for this, by the way, just because Avoidance ends up dealing with casters too, just so you know. Now let's see. This what we could do. Let's see. We go ahead and we put this on here. This comes with Stun Ward on it. We put that on there. We go ahead and put Stop Ward in the skill slot. Or we just forego Stop Ward, because if the first two happen, he can Tabula out of it. If it's a stop, it doesn't last very long. Petrify, there's nothing he can do about it. So let's try this. See if it does a little bit better, maybe. And hang on, I'm gonna try Draconic next after this, actually. Good point. Let me step away for just a moment here. Alright, and I'm back. Let's do this thing. So, best bet is going to be to kind of just run towards the middle and then towards that tile. Probably taking like a... Go here, get swarmed by them, circle around, probably get stuck around there, then look for a breakout, and then go that way. Then get to about there. And yeah, that's what we're going to try. Okay, let's just go ahead and go for the front here. Smack that guy, turn on this thing. Good to go. Anyway, I'm going to try Draconic after this. I probably want to go for a hammer build on that one. As to why, I'll explain when we get to it. Oh, one moment. Hello again. Oh wow, this has gone pretty freaking dire in the last couple seconds. Okay. Yeah, what this thing is... The one thing that this build is missing is definitely a something healing over 200. And the main issue so far. Okay. Also, this is pretty freaking cool as hell. Just got a box in the mail. Early Christmas and all that. Man, it's always awesome when you end up getting gifts from like overseas and stuff. All excited when I saw this. Like every now and then I end up hearing from a relative of mine. It's like sends me cool stuff from overseas. It's like, man, let's get at least one parent that's not a nut. That's another story all of its own. Let's see what this is. Huh. Yeah, go figure. Gotta use a flippin' pen, because apparently I don't know where I put my knife. Okay, so that didn't work out so hot. But yeah, what this build needs is either Field Alch or it needs Divine. So I guess arguably that could work as well, because it's still gonna have that burst ability. Main reason I was using this on him is just because it was the highest thing that technically came in this tree. Yeah, as far as elemental stuff, they come in, let's see, starting at 24, you can start using elemental two-handers, and then they just basically all go up. You can see, like, the actual damage on them is roughly the same. So, so for example, as you go up here, he basically tried to make it so that there's still technically kind of tiers to them, but more or less you're never really going to notice too much of a difference between different elements getting preferred treatment and all that. But yeah, as far as divine stuff goes, yeah, would need the rune here, exactly one level off from using that for that kind of build. Anyway, so first things first. Let's look at the technically highest attack power we can get. Skills, remove, two-handers. Okay. And let's go ahead and remove the augment as well. So that's not affecting any scores. Okay. Now, I forget if the bonus damage counts. I don't think it does. But it should be hammers that probably have the highest one here. So we got Gehenna coming in at 178. Got the Terminus coming in at 152. So I think that's the score that it goes off of. So we're going to start with Gehenna, see if we can find anything better. That should be the highest, because those tend to pierce armor the best. Yeah, 162 on the axes. And then side grade sword. Got Stasis coming in at 165, so just under that. Finisher-wise, I think I'd probably prefer the hammer ones anyway. So we're going to go with that. We're going to go ahead and, let's see, augment fire. There we go. Only 7 on that one, but it's fine. Now then, we go hammers. We're still going to need something else for support, because Draconic does not have a lot of support abilities. Where's hammers? Why am I being so dumb about this? There we go. Parry and counter hit. It's going to be needed. Still can change to fire. Alright, dark. Let's change as Draconic. Now, as far as what he ends up... as far as what we're working with Draconic-wise. So... can use Martyrdom. Basically, that's not going to help at all. Holy Shield. Let's see, Sanctified to a single target. That's not really going to help here. Thaumaturgy. Spellcraft, potentially useful, but still not really going to help too much here. Warcraft, Strengthen and Fortify. You know, that's pretty good. Ballistics, good, but not going to help much here. Negate. Potentially useful. If you are wondering why he can't use stuff like Evade and Apostate, it's because he's got Negate and he's got, Decoy. So he basically still has those abilities, you just have to equip them through different places. There we go. Still trying to get his box open with a flippin' fork. There we go. Good Lord, there's so much tape in this thing. So much tape. Actually, would have just waited, but whatever it is, sounds like it's got a million pieces, and I'm curious. Get open, box. There we go. Ah, god dang. Sturdiest cardboard and tape construction I've ever seen. Ah. Screw it. Alright. Dude! Holy crap. Holy freaking crap. Okay, you know what? The rest of that, wait until my wife gets home. Because I think somebody is going to have a dang mouthgasm when they get here. So if you've ever tried European chocolates, you may have come across the utter deliciousness that's some of the stuff that you can get from Lithuania. Dude, that stuff is so good, and I have an entire gigantic box of it right now. All right. Anyway, so by the way, I was mentioning the whole needing to evade thing earlier. Apparently not quite the case. Apparently you can learn it here too. It's just harder to get for this particular book. Wasn't paying attention to that one. My bad. Any darn ways, he actually can also... You know, maybe I'm just being completely dumb about this, because he gets a regen too, so... a lot of the benefits of the divine stuff. Alright. Still gonna keep Berserk, because that's really strong. Stone Ward. Yeah. Alright. Let's see how this ends up going. Dragon Slayer, 32 up higher damage. By higher damage, I think you mean highest damage. Because yeah, the Dragon Slayer has the single highest physical damage in the game. It just doesn't scale with any augments. So that's its main thing. Now, it could be better here, but again, the whole shtick going into this is I wanted to have one level that I would limit it to, for the sake of all these. Maybe I should see the lowest level that the lowest elements are available for everything. Actually limited to. I just have a cheat that limits everything to level 30 that I've been kind of using. I don't know. Another thing that would also help is if I went to the store and just bought some ginseng, because that would end up kind of improving this whole situation, because then you could go ahead and start with the TP move right off the bat. How I haven't done so in days of trying this is anyone's anyone's guess, but, you know, it just happens sometimes. I never claimed I was a smart man, etc. Alright. So how do you think this is going to go? Go amazingly? See draconic scales with weapon attack, not augment. This is true, but it does... I believe it does get some benefit from augments. So let's test this a little bit. Do I even have... See, I say this, and then... and then, like an absolute moron, I end up... You know what? No, we're actually going to retreat out of this real quick, because there's two changes I want to make. First of all, I forgot he has Agony. That's the trick. That's going to be the trick right here. Agony and HP infusion. Okay. I'll explain what I'm going on here about in just a sec. First of all, yeah, get rid of it still. We're not going to need it. What we are going to need is TP2. Get over here. Or TP3. There we go. I need counter hit, I need parry, that's all fine. Now, we're gonna need just all the health. All of it. Every single health, every friggin' one. Just, yeah. Probably gonna go, let's see, all these are identical, so we're gonna go Falcon Mail to hopefully help somewhat against petrification. It's not really gonna help that much, but whatever. Ooh, wait, what? It's got stun ward? Well, crap, that solves some problems now, doesn't it? So we got stun ward, we got stop ward, we got... Okay, perfect. This'll be the one. We got stop, we got stun, we got stone in here. That's every major shutdown debuff dealt with. We got this thing for scaling up Draconic, so you can do that for like general purpose damage. You can do Berserks for like just AoE damage. And then essentially can use Agony to hopefully, if he ever gets on low health, he should, whenever he gets low health, he should have a full bar with 275 health in it. Should be able to use Agony to basically one-shot something using... it's basically it's however much health you've lost, it does exactly that much damage to a thing. That's why I'm trying to max out his health here. And then... Oh man, I wish I could sacrifice the Reaper Ring somewhat, actually. That does boost health a little, I suppose. Anyway, so he's got higher health than anything else, which would allow him to potentially one-shot anything on the map that isn't a dragon, and then immediately heal afterwards. So potentially scaling might not even be an issue. In fact, if we do this, hang on, let's see. What allows him to potentially be really resilient here? Because if I put a heavy shield on him, that's... I believe those still boost health, don't they? Yes. Okay, so heavy shields still boost health. Worm Scale Guard being the most of it. So if I just go for max health, basically. Maybe Claws? Yeah, Claws could potentially throw around a bunch of poison. Yeah, that... Yes. Oh, actually, come to think about it, why not just Spears? I can just go Pike on this. Spear and Shield. There we go. That's the way to make the Spear and Shield work! Oh god, I'm an idiot. How did I not think of this? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay. Or do I want to go Daggers? Because Daggers have a Bewitch move on them. No, but he needs that for healing. Whatever, we'll figure it out. Also, wait a minute, did the music finally die? The music finally died. Hang on one sec. To be fair, I had this thing on loop for like 2 straight days. Because I kept wanting to... Oh, crap, I just clicked on something I shouldn't have clicked on. There we go. Grand Cathedral Extended. Yeah, if you were wondering what this theme was, by the way, this is the Grand Cathedral from Vagrant Story. God, that game's music is good. Alright, let's do this. Alright, you have 10 fingers, but you can only use 1 ring. I think it's like one of those things where if you end up touching 2 of the rings, they explode or something. One of them type of scenarios. But alright, so yeah, the idea here is to take as much damage as possible, get to critical health, and then just like nuke and heal, and then just like insta-delete everybody using this method. This could work. This could actually work. In fact, I almost want to say if he gets... Ooh. Hang on. Hang on. I don't know if that's a good save slot. Crap. Okay, if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna try one more thing too. Because technically speaking, he can use Worm Scale, he can use a helmet. Oh crap, you know what, that's just, it's too good. It's too good. Hang on, it's too good, I have to try it. See, if Phalanx is still the same as Vanilla... No, Phalanx is not even close to the same as Vanilla. Phalanx, it's what I was using last time. So it's Rampart Shadow, but it's cheaper. Basically, Rampart Shadow got renamed to Phalanx because it made more sense. Because essentially you were using it for area control, which is what the purpose of the Phalanx was. It was just basically like, look, we have so much defense, you can't possibly get through this. So yeah, anyway, so... Okay. Equipment. Everybody gets stripping. Go, strip everybody. Because according to this cheat, everybody can only have one of each item. I know, it's weird. Just ignore it, it's fine. Where is it? Okay, let's see if this works. So this will... It's still 50. It's still 50 health. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, he still gets stun ward off that helmet. Because I know the Worm Scale does also come with... Yeah, so the Legion set, by the way, it's basically Worm Scale, except if you put it together you get a set effect. So yeah. Anyway, there we go. So this should give him Dragon Slayer as well. No, that's not what Phalanx does anymore. Again, the deal with Phalanx is, if we go over here, it's Rampart Shadow, but it's better. So original Rampart Shadow is gone, because it was too expensive to ever be used. It just basically didn't work at all. But yeah, create a shield wall using ethereal clones. So it's 2 range, you put a shadow at 2 range instead of 1. Basically, original Rampart Shadow, there was little to no purpose for it, because it was only 1 range, and it cost 75. There's never, well, I should say almost never a practical reason for that to be the case. It made sense in the Japanese version, because just higher numbers were flying around all over the place. So generally speaking, there might have been a reason to actually use Rampart Shadow instead of a finisher, but if you got to 75, odds are, you know, you had a finisher that you'd be able to get to just as easily. But anyway, so with Phalanx now, it basically is just better Rampart Shadow in every possible way. And that somebody actually uses it. What do you mean only 1 item? Did I miss something? Okay, but anyway, so the reason that I changed his armor around is because if you get 3 pieces of the dragon set, you get Dragon Slayer, which is a little bit easier than it was before. Basically, before I believe you had to use all 3 plus, I think, the right weapon for it. But yeah, so he can use Dragon Slayer now. And I'm an idiot. I forgot to pick up the item. Right. The item I was talking about. And yes, I realize I could have just retreated. If I go to the store, let's go ahead and sell whatever, really. But he's not going to use any of these. It's a cheap file anyway. There we go. Get a bunch of ginseng. That should do it. So ginseng is an item that was added a few patches ago. That's why the save file didn't have it. In fact, do I even have field alchemy on him? I don't think I do. I don't. Augment Fire doesn't do him much good, though, so we'll go ahead and replace that with Field Alch 2, and that's what I need to do here. There we go. Like I said, sorry for being a little bit on the tired side today. You know, trying to think of everything as much as I can. There we go. So, you might be asking what the hell was possibly worth all that effort, and it's because he can use a TP move right off the bat, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's see, you previously mentioned only one item each. Oh, it's because the cheat in question, if you have more than one item, it ends up resetting it to that amount. So there's that. Right, anyway. I'm going to save the Reaver Ring for now. I'm going to go Magic Leaf. Probably Instill MP would be really strong with this. But first of all, let's browse his selection real quick here to see how much Agony costs. So Agony costs 20, so that's pretty flippin' cheap. Not much to worry about there. Alright. Yeah, the reason that I picked up Ginseng down, it essentially allows for a situation where you pop that thing, turn on Dragon Slayer, walk next to a dragon, and watch as it gets one-shotted by itself. So, neat stuff, neat stuff. Anyway. So yeah, looking at their health here, let's see what's everyone working with. Probably shouldn't have it on fast forward if I plan to take a look at their health at all. Let's see, 387, 396, so they've got about 400. So if he ever goes down to critical health, he can one-shot somebody and heal right out of it. So we go over here. Bam. And he's still doing a pretty decent amount of damage because spears are fantastic. And he can still berserk with it, and he can still do a lot of stuff. So alrighty then. There we go. And she got a crit, doesn't even matter. You go ahead and just heal right out of that. And, because of the fact that he's spreading damage around all over the place, which is why I was saying that Berserk will still be useful with this setup, that means that it's just a lower bar for him to potentially one-shot anyone. That's fine. Bring on the damage. Gimme. I want all the damage. I want it. See, you know what? Suddenly Metal Gear makes sense. I mean, he was just basically running this kind of build. He's like, oh, hurt me more, Snake. And he's just there like, oh man, I'm a few health away from being able to one-shot this guy. And then just like, no, he just died instead. Presumably he just like got a crit or something. Who knows? Who knows? Metal Gear's a strange, strange series. The only downside with the spears is that we lost the agility bonus that the 2H was giving. That thing is amazing! There we go. Fairy Chuckles is almost done. Now, let's see what kind of hurt we can drop on some dudes. Excuse me? Let's see, that transfers the user's wound to the enemy at the expense of all MP. Why am I only... That's not right! That's not right at all. Hang on. Hang on. What? Okay, I'm confused. Something didn't work right. Rakes, if you happen to be here, what happened? What is going on here? He drains half the enemies. Yeah, Soul Harvest. By the way, I forgot that this existed. This is like the ultimate anti finisher move. That if somebody has a finisher, you just basically use this on them, and then you just heal yourself. You're like, no, give me your stuff, and then yeah, it gives you MP, HP, and then it also gets rid of their stuff. But anyway, I don't know why I haven't been using Draconic up to this point because it is just the best, and including the ability to flip and teleport. Yeah, damage-wise, by the way, he does like that much. It's like 100, 150 to each person. But that's what I'm not getting, though. What is going on with, where the hell was it now? Agony, right. So that's supposed to do a lot more than that. For some reason, it's given a hard 162, for some reason. I'm not sure what that's about. That's not how that's supposed to work. I wonder if I go ahead and just use this, if it's just maybe it's just not showing me the right number. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that's all about. It feels like that would be the way to do this, too, is the sad part. Also, yeah, $400 or 400 damage with a one-handed spear. Just saying. Spears are pretty good. They may be pretty alright. Let me see if Rakes is available by chance to see what's going on with this. Because that would be good to know. Might be worth a patch. Actually, if it's something that needs to be patched, then probably would go ahead and shelve this for today. Okay, there we go. Let's see if he's available. What other options would there be then? So teleport would be amazing for this. So you can probably just go ahead and put on Renewal for the moment then. The only downside with Gift of Renewal is that it's an AoE ability, so you may accidentally target other guys. Okay, so we're going to go here, going to go ahead and run over here. And yeah, I'm gonna attempt to reset that up. Maybe something will change. Because yeah, at low health it seems to be functioning right. Like I wonder if there's some certain value that it's just ticking over. Kind of feels to me like that might be the case. Like maybe after it gets to 400 or something, it's just like, oh crap, it's way too much damage. Maybe, just maybe. But yeah, if it's working as intended, then I'm gonna have to probably figure out a way to rework that two-hander build. If it's not working as intended, this feels like the build that should work, you know? Okay. Now let's see what happens if I use it at completely full health here. Nothing. So he has exactly 20 health missing. Maybe if it's like, if it reaches past the halfway mark, it just suddenly decides, no, it's not going to work anymore. I don't know. Any theories? Any theories out there? Because this feels like it should be the one. Come on, Rakes. Fairly certain you're out there. Actually, come to think that it's funny. I was expecting somebody to come by here, and I'm still waiting. Somehow I have a feeling he might still be asleep. All right. Anyway, let's keep testing this. Let's see just how far it ends up going. Go ahead and take some damage. Oh, now you're gonna parry. Then 96%. That's where you're gonna go ahead and get your way out of. Yeah. Now he's just blocking and parrying all over the place. Freaking 25% earlier, like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about this. Yeah, the Longinus feels like this might be the way to do this. Nice. Hell, we might be able to do this even without that Agony ability. Why agonize over it? No. I'm just gonna shut up now. Anyway, testing Agony at here, and yeah, 41 all over the place. That's still accurate. Alright, who's got TPs for me to nom on? You do. Gimme your TPs. Delicious! I feel like it should do 75% instead of 50%. But either way, then again, I'm also just wanting him to be absurdly strong, so whatever. There we go. First person that attacks ends up screwing over their friends. Maybe they're interested in that kind of thing, but who knows? I feel like maybe a Resonance might be a way to go about this too. It would be only a slight boost, though. I think the main benefit of doing a Resonance in this type of scenario would be that the healers, they do seem to be unusually interested in using ease to get rid of it. So that might be a thing there. See, the fairy is a cozy punch for 1 damage and counter death, right? That was pretty freaking lucky. But the only reason they were doing that, by the way, so he is almost maxed out as far as the kind of damage that he can resist. So that's the only reason that they can do 1 damage. Normally, it would end up that Shield Bash would do like 20 to 30 like it was doing last time. But basically what they're going for, they see that he's a caster, they see that he's got casting potential, and so the AI is just looking at that and like, I gotta get rid of that, so they're trying to silence him. So a lot of the lighter shields that they ended up spawning in with originally ended up being changed to the side grade variants, so that means that they can spawn in with ones that silence. And so all this cooler crap that they can potentially start with is one of the reasons that I went for this kind of setup. Alright, so we got Giga Tempest or Charybdis. Yeah, Charybdis is pretty awesome. That would potentially shut down some dudes for ages. But again, with this type of build, I'm not even terribly worried as far as his damage or anything else goes. Because as you can see, he's just taking it. Like, he does not care. And once you get to the point of being able to get full worm scale and things like that, it's like you start like full worm scale plus maxed out parry plus maxed out weapon skill is just like it doesn't even have to be higher tier than that. There's higher tier variants of those exact same things, but that's the point when it ticks over to the point of like, crap, nobody's touching that. like right now, as you can see, he hasn't needed to heal in several turns because everything either does no damage or it gets blocked entirely. So, like, this is full on, he's basically a hoplite at this point. And it, you know, this poor rogue over here is just trying and trying and trying. And the whole reason I was excited about this agony thing is because it essentially allows him to be a ridiculously heavy build, specialized for defense over offense entirely, while still having an option to basically insta-kill and heal at the same time. So that would be some absolute bullcrap if it worked, even though it still feels like it should. That is the way that ability is supposed to work after all. So there we go. Their entire team managed to get crits and everything else. Now let's see if it'll work. Yeah, it feels like after a certain point it just ticks over to whatever your actual current health is, which is just bizarre. I don't know what that's all about. But either way, we can probably just do Soul Harvest, Vortex maybe. Nullify Strike maybe. Yeah, being able to access all of the Draconic abilities is pretty friggin' strong. Let's see, Lizard considered Dragon Family. Hopefully Dragon Slayer works. No. The Lizard is not considered that at all. They use herpetology, so they're considered, you know, lizards. They are the herps. And yeah, Dragon Slayer did work. I mean, it took 400 health off of him. Well, either way, I know I'm gonna use Infusion, so I might as well. Yeah, just go ahead and go for a stab. I just want to see what the actual tip-over point is. Like, I want to say it's 50% health. There's definitely a tip-over point. Let me go see if Mr. Rake saw it by chance. And I was still showing idle, so I'm pretty sure he's in the middle of something. Well, dang. Hopefully, gonna be able to get an answer on that later. I'm not really sure what to make of it. But either way, what I'm basically going to keep doing here is keep doing this whole counter thing until I figure out what the tip-over point is. Because that information should probably make it a little bit easier to troubleshoot. Yeah, the only thing that he can outright evade is Draconic, interestingly enough. He's only weak to himself. He's basically a dragon type. He's only weak to himself. And ice and then fairies for some reason. That makes sense. That makes all the sense. Yeah, there we go. Parry that fatal hit. That would have friggin' earned him the Miracle Emblem in Knight of Lotus. I have a turn now. It's kind of the main downside to this. It's for this thing he has basically... Parry, please? Oh. Let's see if we can figure that out. Yeah, long enough, so that's definitely fine. Like, he's doing a ton of damage with that thing. Armor-wise, he's an absolute beast. He's completely immune to all three of those main abilities. It's fine for healing. Draconic definitely seems to be doing the trick. This, I mean, this feels like the answer. Feels like the answer. Alright, whatever. We're gonna find out what that tip point is. Seriously, guy that was supposed to be coming by here, he's gonna get in trouble. Not that I mind waiting, but I'm pretty sure he's in trouble. It's one of these stories when somebody had a schedule to keep, and I'm pretty sure they fell asleep. Anyway. By the way, Mr. Rakes, if you happen to be here, I currently just moved out of the chat to be able to go see what's going on with that real quick. Just so you know. So I'm not going to be able to see chat for about a few seconds here. Alright. Now, Dragon Slayer, yeah, if we get a crit here, we might be able to just get rid of this dragon off the very start. Didn't get it. Oh well. That's fine. God dang, that 26%. Wow. Double crit, though. Double crit with one spear. Okay, there we go. I'm back on chat now. I can seize it. Spawned in with 2 dragons, that's a good thing. 2 healers, don't mind about that, because it's less units attacking. Yeah, everything about this challenge is it's fun. It lets you really take a weird dive into the kinds of stuff you can come up with. If we go Dragon Slayer, we can finish him. Yeah. We're gonna go for hopefully a crit here. Because yeah, I don't think their healer is gonna be able. Yeah, if I go ahead and drag him downwards, go for one of those, and then maybe something like this, then he'll decide to run all the way to the back of the map, try to go for that hit, and hopefully he's just going to be just out of range of his healers there. Should be alright. Block. Good. Yeah, I can get rid of these dragons early, and we'll solve some problems. Oh, there we go. Or they're going to take care of it that way. That works out as well. Not going to complain. Chuckles, just do your thing. Chocolate Chuckles chuckled along. Got his friend stabbed in the face. What a shame. It still kind of surprises me to this point that the Longinus and you know the Holy Lance in the original game and all that. It's weird that they went for like they had such a distinctive version when it came to Knight of Lotus, and I want to say it had a similar look in the original SNES version. Then for this one, they literally just like they got very literal with it. They're just like, oh, it's a lance, right? Well, let's go for a jousting lance. Yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, it's kind of dorky looking. I'm a little bit surprised that it didn't have an actual, you know, sprite that looked similar to the other one. And I remember actually asked Rakes about that a while ago, if there was any chance to change that sprite to something a little less dorky looking. And apparently there wasn't one. It's just like, that's the only one. There's basically no spear ones that are unused at this point. Because the swords, no, they got a ton of different stuff. I mean, the spears, to be fair, they had a bunch of interesting different looks to them and whatever else, and they all got used for the different elements. Like, for example, the Brionac, the Trident, or the Fire Trident. It's literally just a recolored trident, just one of the different variations of it. And it looks great. Like, pretty much all of them look great. Like, the Holy Lance, yeah, it does look like what you'd expect it to look, I guess. It's just, it feels weird. Like, it's a freaking jousting lance, which is just, why would you be using that on foot? And second of all, which, that's not meant to be a dig at Monster Hunter, by the way, I realize that's a thing there. But, I don't know. It's weird, I guess. It's all weird and crap. And yeah, unfortunately they got the slow off. That's another one of the ones that's kind of hard to avoid. Because we'd have to specifically build to avoid that one. Oh well. Alright, are you guys done taking turns yet? Can I have one of those? No? Dead? Okay. That's fine. I never did get to try out Agony that time. Yeah, it looks all bent. Like, why does it look bent? You know? I know they say unicorn. Did they... Hang on. Inventory. Show me that inventory. Where is the ingredients? Do I not have a unicorn horn on this one? I don't think I do. I think they literally might have just taken the look of the unicorn horn and kind of like photoshopped it down a little bit and slapped a handle on that crap. Are they really that huge? Like, does this universe have freakishly huge unicorns? Is that what it is? Do they just have a horn the size of a jousting lance? Dude, that sounds metal as hell, actually. I want to see that. I don't know. I don't know. It's possible. Oh well. Anyway, I'm gonna give it one more try here, and then I'm gonna see if Rakes shows up by chance. If he does, great. If he doesn't, well dang. And other than that, I do have to go finish getting more stuff done for the day. Yeah, it's a Monday. It definitely feels like a Monday. Everything going wrong. Rent's late. Yeah, it's a Monday. Nothing wants to arrive in the bank when it should be. That's always annoying. Like when you end up going and doing projects for folks and everything else, and they're like, "Yeah, no, it'll get there. It'll get there. It'll get there. A week later, it'll totally get there." Well, you do realize this is just a massive waste of time, and I can't turn anything over to you and anything else unless you actually pay me, right? That's where logic on some people. Like, okay, true story. Friggin' yep. Friggin' last month, right? So a guy hires me to do some website work for him, and I go and I put the thing together, and it's all well and done. And it's okay. Pays for the first part perfectly fine. All well and good. Asks to get some other projects done, like asks me to do some video editing and everything else. He's all happy with everything up to that point and everything. And then basically just has another bill for like basically any amount. Like usually what I say is just whatever somebody is willing to pay me is what I'll end up taking. I don't really have, since everyone's budget is going to be different, I don't exactly have any exact amount that I ask folks for. So what ends up happening is exactly that. That's I'm just sitting there and expecting to get, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks, whatever else, for doing some video editing work for this guy. And yeah, just like every excuse in the book. It's like, oh, it's coming later, it's coming later. No, I'm going to this thing, I'm just not, I'm suddenly out of town, like, oh, I'm going off to do this other thing now. Oh, I'm sorry, this is his wife, he was in a car crash. Keep texting him and texting him, like, that wasn't in a car crash. One time he even ends up texting me on accident about some trip that he's currently on. Like, why? Why would you mind? I mean, if you thought it sucked or something, whatever, just say so. It's like, there's literally no point to doing all that kind of crap. Whatever. Anyway, come on, let me have a turn. Yes! Okay. So we're a little bit closer here. Now, he's silenced, but we have Tabula Rasa. Okay. Now tell me, does Agony work right? No, it is already at the tipping point. Okay. So let's do this. We do HP Infusion. And he's still silenced, so I'm actually going to go ahead and drop that little trinky thing on him. Do I have one of those? Yes. Okay. So drop that on him. Just sit and wait. And then let's see if that potentially does it. Because, yeah, I think it might just be that if it goes past half health, it just counts whatever's left. It's like kind of the epitome of very oddly specific windows that you have to use your ability. Which, actually, if that's the case, it could still work for this. Because then it still could potentially do like 300 damage. Either way, it'll just depend, I suppose. Come on. Alright, just saw some new folks come in. Mr. Rakes, don't suppose you're here? Actually, I think I'm probably getting interrupted here in just a minute, just so you know. That might be the person I was waiting for. Okay, so 171, it works just fine. Let's see, at 127, I mean, obviously it probably won't, but let's give it a try. Yeah, it just does 127. Maybe... No, that wouldn't make sense either. I was thinking like maybe it only scales up to double your remaining MP or something. That doesn't make sense either. Feeling all Sigma-y over here. Okay. Let's go ahead and try it again. Keep doing this until he lands on 300. Or we somehow miraculously win. Because this is going pretty well, actually. Yeah, like I said, this build, like I said at the very start of this build is just like, it's the one that feels like it can last the longest. Just because, unlike Claws, you get your you get your double range, you still get your better damage out of it. You don't get the poison, which, bummer. But oh well. You still get, all this kind of situation. I want to say adding Arts of War would help, but then they'll keep dispelling over and over. It might be worth sacrificing something for Arts of War again. I mean, we don't really have an augment running anymore, so it's that. Well, there we go. Rip that run. In fact, I think we might have an easier time testing down a Tynmouth. Let's give that a go. See if we can find the breaking point. So yeah, to the new folks that just showed up, basically the idea is that that somebody issued a challenge to do the whole 1 versus 18 thing with the Lord class, which they viewed as useless, so that's basically what I'm trying to do here. And I believe I found a build that can do it effectively. It's just that apparently the ability kind of doesn't seem to work under very specific circumstances. Specifically, the ability in question was Agony, in which the idea is it's an ability that does as much damage as however much damage you've taken. Many games have that kind of thing. It appears that it's just basically taking over to current health after it gets past the 50% mark. I think. So he's at about the 50% mark now. Unfortunately, I don't have MP. Of course I don't have MP. Alright. That amount of damage was basically perfect though, so we're going to move back to that same tile, get MP charged up. Expected that to take a little bit longer, but whatever. Alright, here we go. So he's just going to sit there, they're going to do their thing. Love that guy's name, just ooh-ah. Oh, by the way, there's a really cool thing that I saw. That there actually is a lizard name that can come up that's actually Balla. Looks like Baller. Like exactly that that name there. It's just like B-A-L-L-A-H. Okay, so yeah, at this point, still doing 60%. Still very low odds to hit, because obviously it's a ridiculously strong move. It's just basically a Hail Mary move. Alright, so let's go ahead and pokey poke. Yep. Alright. That sucks that he ended up using that particular move, because that ends up reducing max health, but we've still got Tabula Rasa on him, so perfectly fine, still manageable. Okay. And he's at about 300 health, so perfect. So we're at 363, and yeah, we are still seeing that functioning properly. Okay. That's fine. Let's go ahead and shank their healer a little bit. Bam. And there we go. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why the camera ends up going forward every time she uses a rail bow like that, it's because it technically, I think what he did was take a spear attack type situation and then extend it out to 14 tiles, and that's basically what resulted. So it ends up skipping through some scenery. It ends up skipping through yeah, it skips through just about any scenery that wouldn't normally take hits. I think it can skip one piece of scenery going to where you need to go. And yeah, overall, pretty darn decent. Now, we go ahead and try it at this point, so exactly at about the 200 mark. He has no MP to use it for some reason. Okay. Here, let him recharge MP, and just go ahead and give him a Mending Seed in order to patch him up just a little bit. Hopefully stay out of range. Oh, yep, there it is. Be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. So, yeah, still trying this out here. Pretty much what I'm going for. I'm trying to get him to land exactly at 300. Like, however this ends up happening. I'm probably just going to leave the wither effect on there, just because it makes it, a little bit easier to control where his health's going to land. Okay, so 251, that's close enough. Now, let's try this. So, we tried at 251, it does 190. So, the numbers are still adding up there. Alright, if we go ahead and use Tabula, that'll switch it to being under the 50% mark. And doing 251, that's not quite adding up. Yeah, so it does seem to be it's the 50% mark. Odd. Okay. Agony! Just, yeah, considering the amount of risk involved, I would hope it would either be A, more accurate, or B, actually do what it says on the tin. So, either way. It's probably a bug, just so you know. More than likely it's a bug. Either way, we'll find out. We'll find out. Let's see if Mr. Riggs is back. Are you back, sir? Technically, yeah, looks like technically back. And there we go. I'm hopping back into Twitch here. Let's go ahead and do this infusion. Just basically confirming what I'm pretty sure I already know at this point. But if this does turn out to be a bug, this is absolutely this is an unusually good situation for this particular ability. Because yeah, to be fair, I don't think there's really no reason why this would have been tested up to this point. Because why the hell would you go for a max HP build in order to try to take as much damage as possible to use a turnaround ability to make that happen? Like right now, yeah, it doesn't have that extra space at the end, so it could be that. Anyway, because like right now it should be doing like 480 damage, which would just be absolutely nuts. But still, I want it to be. I want to be able to do 480 something damage with this ability. And then he could just, like, basically sell it as, like, oh man, he PTSD'd so hard that he just weaponized it. That's the only reason the Lord can use it so good. But yeah, if you want to get the most damage otherwise, like, right now, I'm literally just trying a super defensive gimmick build. Let's see. Agony is making us an Agony. Yeah, seems so. Sorry, I just really want to test it to make sure that it's all exactly how I think it is. Because it's really feeling like it's exactly that. Okay, so skills, we don't... Yeah, let me try one more turn here of just Mending Seed, or Mending Salve. If I could... Yeah. Let's go ahead and turn on Berserk. And keep trying this until eventually it manages to land at almost exactly 300. There's probably an easier way to do this, namely if I went ahead and just used units, or used my own units for this. Why am I not doing that and just doing it this way? I don't know. Because that's why. Okay, there we go. Look at that. Ah, dang it! HP Infusion would be just enough to be at about the 50% mark, and then I don't have the MP to use this stupid thing. Where do I keep losing that MP to? I think somebody's doing like an MP drain or something, aren't they? But I'm just not paying attention to. Alright. Heartbreaker. It's Heartbreaker that's doing it. Dang it, Heartbreaker! Breaking my heart over here. But yeah, Rakes is online right now, so I'm hoping he'll show up. Just hoping. Just hoping. Come on, Rakes. You want to hop in here, explain this mystery. Of course, now I have the MP, but I don't have. Still busted. Still busted. Okay. So now we go ahead and put it up above 300. See, like again, even if it is the case where it's like it's only gonna work if it's within that specific window, it still would be kind of interesting if that happened, because that essentially would mean like here's this absurdly specific ability that lets you do impossible amounts of damage, but only at this exact HP mark. It would be the most confusing version of the Red Tearstone Ring from Dark Souls ever. So yeah, there we go. Now we're doing 200 with the thing. So he's already doing double damage with it and all that. But yeah, it's not worth it for 200. Just because he can already stab for 140, so ain't worth it. Has to do what it says on the tin in order to be worthwhile. Actually, come to think of it, speaking of Dark Souls stuff, anybody ever watch those, it's like attempting to one-shot absolutely everything in Dark Souls? It's like the entire thing is like they literally are never allowed to beat, or never allowed to kill off a single enemy unless they can one-shot it. So this essentially means like setting up RTSR for pretty much everything, and including, let's see, I think they needed like to farm out all the dragon items, plus RTSR, plus Power Within, plus I think like a Dragon Great Axe or something like that, plus maxed out stats in order to one-shot a bunch of the bosses and everything. Oh man, it was such a retarded amount of setup. I love it. Alright, 214. And this is still about there. So we need to lose how much health here? 532, so 481 is exactly what we're aiming for. Or 281, rather. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and shanky shank. Go ahead and throw one of these out here. And then hopefully... You are such a dick, knife guy. Yeah, you know what? Screw it. Definitely screw it. We're gonna go ahead and just retreat out of here and come back with actual units to be able to test this out. Okay. Let's see who is available here. Bertrand. You're a pike guy. Oh. I'm literally just giving them whatever. See Voltaire. Interesting setup you got there. Let's go overpower set on you. Perfect. That's 3 of them. Oh, you're a spear guy too. Well, spears on everybody. Spears! They're fun. They make stabbing happen. That kind of looks like he's already wearing the Thanatos set. Alright, and like a Sealed Might, and there we go. That should be more than enough. See, Ivan the Vartan, what's your skill set looking like? Sidearms. Yeah, Raphael. Let's say, can you equip the Gauche? Yeah, why not? Mangosh on you, Dark Coat, maybe Scout Helm, whatever. Let's just put all kinds of weirdness on everybody. There we go. And what do we got on you? Whips. Whip it good. Okay. That should do it. Then we come back, we basically deal with everything but one enemy, and try to test this exactly. Because I'm still at least semi-confident that Rakes is going to be in here, so... If he is good, if he isn't, I've got like 10 more minutes. I can stick around. Tear. Unan, Mr. Barton, and Miss Whippy Face. By the way, the blowgun, really, really good. Definitely try the Rothakale. Actually, it ended up being nerfed a little bit since yeah, the last time that I tested it out, or at least was showing off testing it out, there was a little bit of a thing where its damage percentage was unusually high. Like I think it was doing something like 30% damage or something like that, which basically meant you could do about 300 with a friggin' blowgun. It's pretty awesome. Oh well. Something else I realized, just in case I forget later. MP generation. Whenever moving Denim's MP up and down, for his very first turn, his MP generation seems a little bit jacked up for some reason. As in, apparently, he can equip a bunch of robes and everything else, and it'll do his usual thing of scaling everything up. But for example, he gets I got him up to 400 MP once, and he still only generated 8 in his first turn. But anyway, I don't know if that's anything. Maybe I'm just missing something completely obvious here. But it seemed like it was potentially a little bit off. Stabby stab. And what I was mentioning earlier, as far as certain weapons having higher or lower damage or any of that, it really doesn't matter too much. Like as long as you have that weapon type and it's at least somewhat updated, honestly, it won't matter that much. Like right here, the slasher is doing about as much as many of the upper ones would. They have relatively similar bonus damage. It's just a matter of how well they get past armor and all that kind of thing. But yeah, actually, come to think of it, if I start mentioning things with terms that are not as they should be, I wonder if then he'll show up. Show up like, it's not technically armor piercing or an armor system. It's like, I know it's not technically armor piercing, but you showed up. I don't know. Yeah, apparently I've been specifically told do not call it an armor piercing system because that's not really what it is. It's kind of like a workaround to make that kind of effect happen, but to actually call it that is not super accurate. Which I say, screw it, I think it's accurate enough, but whatever. Because yeah, basically the way it goes is attack score, the higher it is, if it ends up beating the defense score, they end up going through. If it doesn't, you end up doing some pitiful amount of damage. If you do get through, you get all your bonus damage, and it's all like, here, have all these prices, you've won the game. And, I mean, honestly, it reminds me of exactly how New Vegas did armor. It's like, they're like, okay, your gun does 9, and it's funny because when people first booted that up after playing Fallout 3 or something like that, like, oh crap, all my damage is gone, it's nerfed, oh my god, this doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, you do realize your starter gun did like 4 in Fallout 3, right? Its actual damage was, I think it really was 4. It's weird. People have the weirdest initial freakouts when it came to New Vegas for some reason. Anyway. Off topic. So yeah. I mean, it's basically the same thing, except it's just in the hundreds. And all that. Okay, so we're at the point that we can start picking away at denim here. 84. We need exactly 281 to make this happen. Since everybody else is weaker, since Denim's defense is ridiculously high, shouldn't really have much of a problem with getting him to that exact amount. I say before I probably completely screw this up. Get us health lower, or we can just do that. There we go. I have to say the Kuchulain, that is to say the Cursed Spear in this game, always makes me think of Legend of Dragoon. If you've ever played that. Basically, the thing looks like it's got all this extra bulk on it. Let's go for some Demon Rose action here. Gonna get all healy. Okay. That was quick. Yeah, potentially something a little bit off on that one as well. Though I do know some of the timings on some of the abilities are a little bit off. It's okay. Gonna add that to the list. Yeah, some abilities are meant to expire right away. That one should not be expiring that quickly. That's fine. That's fine. Matches happen. They're there for a reason. Okay, so he has exactly 2 health too little. So let's go ahead and pop a leaf on him. Braxton, what are you complaining about? Somebody closed the door. It's not the end of the world. Why are you whining? You're just fine. It's a door. You don't need to go say hi that badly. You'll live. You're just fine, Mr. Doggo. It's too much to handle. I can't handle somebody closing a door. Alright, and Agony should work just fine now. Yeah, 203. So we need to plink him down 1 health at a time to 281. It's fine, we can do that. Sorry, Ivan. You temporarily died in this timeline. Okay. First off, Archer, you're annoying. Get out of here. Perfect. Just want them having less turns at once. Yeah, sorry for the quite silent ending here. But such is life, you know? I just want to make sure that this is exactly right. I'm going to put him down to exactly 281. It's going to take a hot minute. Once we do that... Once we do that, we will know for sure. One of those, let's do that one. That'll also do 1. Good lord, he is so tanky. What about you? What about Ice Brand 3? Okay, that'll do 34. That's pretty good. Okay, so 294. Throw another rock. And you're going to go over here because they're probably going to want to attack, so get him to attack. Check that Agony is still working. 238. Still fine. Wait a minute. What am I counting wrong here? I'm counting wrong here. Hang on. Ah, man. If I needed to prove any further, then I'm an idiot. Where are you, calculator? Apparently I can't count in half. Divided by 2 equals 266. Alright, Chuckle Nuts, that's the actual number you're supposed to be going for. Good job, me. Slow this guy down a little bit so he shuts up. Deal. Ow. It's barely even damage. On a side note, I've been trying that whole Scrooge run on the original SNES version of this game. Quite nifty. Works out pretty well. Definitely holds up in everything other than... You know, I tried it on the Japanese version too. Also holds up pretty well. Just basically everything that is not the US release of the PSP remake. Funny how that works. Sit there. You go ahead and try to do more damage. I'll get him down to 260... 260. Okay. That's just above the mark. Or just past the mark, rather. So we'll, okay, so if the theory holds, it should be broken right now. Do you broken? Okay, so now he's doing 260, so it's busted right now. So we'll go ahead and drop a regen on him, I think. Let's see, 26. That's a bit too much. Let's just drop a healing leaf on him. Yeah, it's the 50% mark. Definitely feels like the 50% mark. Wait a minute. Oh, it does 50 now. God dang it, I am such an idiot. Everything I do is just wrong. There we go. 277. Just keep chucking rocks for a little bit. And he will continue blocking them like some type of annoying person. Love how even with a weakness to fire, it just doesn't matter. It just bounces right off him. It actually would, because it's the weakness effects only affect bonus damage as far as I'm aware. So all it would end up doing is just like if he ends up being affected by that fire, it would affect it that much more. In this case he's not, so it wouldn't. That's too much. That. Exactly 66. Actually, we're going to try at 67, and then we're going to try at 66. I really wish Rakes was here. Just back to doing 1 damage. Oh well. Oh well. 1 more rocks. You just go over here in your rock pelting corner. Right, come on. Two more rocks. Come on. Actually, I can't use that ability on her. It might end up hitting a wither, and that's a problem too. Okay, there we go. Exactly 267, so he's 1 over the halfway mark. Where are you, Agony? There we go. So he does 265, so it's still functioning at this point. Toss Nice Brand out there, so 266. Well, I mean, I guess we wouldn't be able to tell if it's doing anything now anyway. Let's do 265. Maybe the logic of it could be like maybe once it rolls over itself. Yeah, so now it does 265. So it is exactly the halfway mark. Either way, hopefully this clarified something, but either way, I'm positive this build, if it can be made to work, I'm positive that it can actually do what I'm trying to get it to do. In fact, I think one improvement on it is if I went ahead and went one-handers on it, probably would be even better. For Burnder, probably the Mateus, actually. Yeah, if I just go sword on it, then it would be an agility bonus, which would be pretty amazing. Which I think Ambition. For no other reason than I just really like the Ambition. But yeah, no, the one-handers actually potentially could have some better finishers for this as well, especially if they're affected. If this ability is affected by units being asleep, in which case having a bunch of units asleep would be very useful, in which case one-handers would be better. But either way, I feel like agility would help in that instance, but anyway, hopefully it can be fixed. Actually, again, I hope that it's... I'm hoping it's bugged. If it isn't bugged, I'll find another way to make this run work. Anyway, so I gotta get going. That's all the time I had for today. You have a good one. Sorry for kind of a tired thingy today. But it will. You know what? Life is being all kinds of lifey lately. So I'll see you next time. Take care.